I never imagined that the person I trusted the most could hurt me this badly. My best friend Lily and I had been inseparable since middle school. It wasn't the kind of friendship that faded with time or distance. It was the kind that people around us noticed and almost envied. We shared everything without hesitation. Secrets whispered during sleepovers, dreams we were too scared to tell anyone else, heartbreaks that felt like the end of the world at 15. People always said we were two halves of the same soul, and I believed it without question. She knew my parents better than most relatives did. She knew the songs that made me cry without asking why. She even knew the exact way to make me laugh when I felt like the world was collapsing on me. We grew up together in the most ordinary way, yet it felt extraordinary to me. School corridors, lunch tables, late-night calls about nothing and everything. It was always Lily and me. If I had a bad day, she noticed before I even opened my mouth. If she was upset, I could feel it in the silence of her texts. We were that connected, or at least I thought we were. Looking back now, I wonder if I mistook familiarity for loyalty and comfort for truth. And then came Josh. Josh was in my chemistry class during our senior year of high school. I still remember the first time I properly noticed him, not just as a classmate, but as someone who would somehow change everything. He wasn't loud or trying too hard like some of the other boys. He had this calm confidence, like he didn't need to prove anything to anyone. He was amazing, not just in looks, though he was definitely attractive in a quiet, effortless way, but there was something about him. The way he listened when teachers spoke, the way he laughed at the right moments, the way he made even the most boring conversations feel meaningful. It was like he made people feel seen, and somehow, unbelievably, he noticed me. It started small. A shared glance during chemistry lab. A question about homework that turned into a longer conversation than necessary. Then came the texts, first about school, then about random things, then about life. Before I knew it, we were talking for hours every night. I'd lie in bed staring at my phone, smiling at messages that felt too good to be real. There was this excitement every time his name popped up on my screen, like my entire mood depended on it. Late-night calls turned into routine. Small jokes turned into inside jokes. It all felt so effortless, like breathing. Eventually, we started dating, and it felt like I had stepped into a dream I never thought I deserved. Josh wasn't perfect. He forgot things sometimes, he could be distant when stressed, but he was perfect for me. At least, that's what I told myself every time I felt the world slowing down around him. When we were together, everything else faded. I felt chosen, I felt special, and through all of it, Lily was there. Or so I believed. At first, she was exactly what I expected her to be, my biggest supporter. She smiled when I talked about him, laughed when I got overly excited about his messages, teased me about how obsessed I was with his dumb jokes. She would roll her eyes playfully, but never in a hurtful way. I told her everything, every detail, every feeling, every doubt. She was my safe space, the person I trusted with things I didn't even tell Josh. But slowly, something shifted. It wasn't sudden enough to notice immediately. It was subtle, like a crack forming in glass long before it shatters. Little comments started slipping into her tone. "Are you sure he's worth it?" she asked once casually, like she was just thinking out loud. Another time, she said, "I don't know. He seems different than I expected." I remember laughing it off, telling myself she was just being protective. Lily had always been honest. That was part of her personality. She didn't sugarcoat things. Maybe that was all it was. But deep down, something in me hesitated. Then came the moment that should have changed everything, but didn't. Lily asked to hang out with Josh. "Just the two of them and me." She said she wanted to get to know him better, to see what made him so special to me. At the time, I remember feeling a strange discomfort, but I ignored it. Why wouldn't I? This was Lily, my best friend, the person I trusted more than anyone else in the world. So I agreed. We went out for a movie night. Everything looked normal on the surface. Too normal, maybe. We laughed during the movie, shared popcorn, argued lightly about scenes that didn't make sense. Josh sat between us sometimes, leaning slightly toward me when something funny happened. But now I remember small details I didn't notice then. The way Lily laughed a little too easily at his jokes. The way she leaned forward when he spoke. The way her eyes stayed on him just a second too long when she thought I wasn't looking. There was also that moment when Josh went to the bathroom. It was brief, nothing important. But in that short time, something shifted in the atmosphere. Lily turned toward me, asked me a question I can't even remember now, but I do remember her tone. Lighter, almost distracted. When Josh came back, she smiled at him in a way I hadn't seen before. And when she handed him popcorn, their fingers brushed. Just a second, just enough to be dismissed. I told myself I was imagining things. I had to be. Lily and I had been through too much for me to even consider betrayal. We had cried over our own heartbreaks together, shared clothes, shared makeup, even shared secrets no one else knew. We were solid, unbreakable. That's what I believed. But life has a way of proving you wrong when you're most confident. The first real crack didn't come from something I saw with my own eyes. It came from a message. One afternoon, I received a text from a mutual friend. No warning, no context, just a blurry photo. I still remember the way my hand started shaking before I even understood what I was looking at. It was Lily and Josh. At the cafe we used to go to together, sitting too close, laughing like they shared something private, something I wasn't part of. My stomach dropped so suddenly it felt like the ground had disappeared beneath me. I stared at the picture for a long time, hoping it would change if I looked at it differently. Maybe it was innocent, maybe it was just a coincidence, maybe I was overthinking again. But that nagging feeling in my chest wouldn't go away. After that, everything started slipping. I couldn't focus in class. Words from teachers blurred into noise. I barely ate, I barely slept. My phone became both a comfort and a threat. I wanted answers, but I was terrified of what I might find. I kept checking Josh's messages, Lily's social media, anything that could either confirm or destroy my suspicions. And the worst part? I still couldn't bring myself to confront them. Because what if I was wrong? What if I was imagining betrayal where there was none? What if I destroyed everything over nothing? I should have trusted my instincts. I should have listened to that quiet voice inside me that was growing louder every day, but I didn't. And that decision, choosing doubt over truth, silence over confrontation, was the first step into the nightmare my life was about to become. It all came crashing down on a rainy Friday evening. One of those cold, heavy rains that makes everything feel quieter, like the world is holding its breath before something terrible happens. I had stayed late at school to finish a project. The corridors were almost empty when I left, lights flickering above me as I walked out with my backpack hanging off one shoulder. Josh was supposed to pick me up, he always did. That was our routine, me waiting outside the gate, him arriving 5 or 10 minutes late with that apologetic smile like nothing in the world could ever go wrong between us. So I waited. I stood under a broken streetlight near the school gate, holding my umbrella tightly as the rain hammered the pavement around me. Cars passed by, splashing water onto the sidewalk, but I barely noticed. I was scrolling through my phone, half bored, half comforted by the idea that he would show up any minute. That's when I saw them. Across the street, near the small cafe we used to call ours. Josh and Lily. At first, my brain refused to process what I was seeing. It felt like my eyes were playing a cruel trick on me. Josh was laughing, actually laughing, his hand wrapped around Lily's like it belonged there. And Lily, my best friend. She was leaning into him like she had always belonged there too. My fingers went cold around my phone. I froze completely. My body refused to move, like my mind had shut down all systems just to protect me from understanding what I was seeing. I wanted to run. I wanted to scream. I wanted to drop my umbrella and cross the street and demand answers right there in the pouring rain. But I didn't move. I just watched, numb, as everything I believed in quietly shattered in front of me. They stood right outside that cafe. Our cafe, the place where Josh and I used to sit for hours talking about nothing, where Lily used to tease me for always ordering the same drink. And now they were there together, like I had never existed in that space at all. When they finally saw me, something twisted in my chest. They didn't stop, they didn't let go. They didn't even look guilty. Josh lifted his hand slightly and waved, like I was just a friend passing by, like my entire world wasn't collapsing in that exact moment. And Lily smiled, not awkwardly, not nervously. She smiled like she was completely at peace. That was the moment I realized something horrifying. They weren't ashamed. They weren't caught. They were happy. My heart didn't just break. It felt like it was ripped out of my chest and left in the rain to drown. I don't even remember how I got home that night. I think my legs moved on their own. I think my body was still functioning, even though my mind wasn't. Later that night, Josh called me. I almost didn't answer. My phone kept vibrating on my desk while I sat on my bed, still in my wet clothes, staring at nothing. Finally, I picked up. "Hey," he said softly, like everything was normal. That word alone made something inside me snap. "Don't hey me," I said, my voice shaking. What is going on?" There was a pause. A long, heavy pause. "What do you mean?" he asked carefully, like he didn't already know. My hands started trembling. "I saw you. With Lily outside the cafe." Silence again. Then I said it, my voice breaking. "Tell me the truth." He exhaled slowly, like he had been holding this in for a long time. I don't know how to say this," he admitted. "I've been seeing her." My best friend, the person I trusted more than anyone in the world. My stomach twisted violently. I felt like I had been punched, then kicked, then thrown into deep water without knowing how to swim. I couldn't breathe properly. I couldn't think. I just sat there, phone pressed to my ear, while everything inside me collapsed in silence. "Since when?" I finally managed to whisper. He hesitated. "A few months. A few months, while I was still sitting with Lily at lunch, while I was still telling her my secrets, while I was still trusting her with pieces of my life." I hung up. I didn't even say goodbye. I just ended the call and threw my phone across the bed like it had burned me. After that night, I stopped answering calls. I ignored every message. Josh texted. Lily texted. At first, it was explanations. Then excuses, then anger. Then nothing that made sense anymore. I wanted to disappear. Not in a dramatic way, just vanish from everything. From school, from my phone, from the world that suddenly felt completely unfamiliar. The next week was a blur of humiliation and heartbreak. Everywhere I went, I saw them. Social media posts popped up constantly. Josh and Lily laughing at some cafe, Josh tagging her in posts, Lily posting stories with captions like, "Finally happy." Mutual friends stopped meeting my eyes. Conversations ended when I walked into rooms. People whispered behind my back, pretending they weren't looking at me. I became something distant in my own life. And Lily kept acting like I was the problem. When I finally confronted her at school, she didn't even look guilty. She stood there in the hallway, calm, collected, like I was interrupting her normal day. "You're being dramatic," she said with a small, almost pitying smile. My hands clenched. "You lied to me. You went behind my back. She cut me off gently. "Josh and I are happy. You should be happy for us," those words. I still remember how they hit me. Like I was supposed to clap for the destruction of my own heart. Like betrayal was something I was supposed to support. I walked away before she could see me break down. But I didn't make it far. I ended up in the empty bathroom, locking myself in a stall, crying silently so no one could hear. Because the worst part wasn't just losing Josh. It was losing Lily, my best friend. The person who knew my childhood fears, my favorite songs, my insecurities, my dreams. The person I thought would always stand beside me. She hadn't just taken him. She had taken my trust. And somehow, in her version of reality, I was the villain for feeling broken. That was the moment I understood something I wasn't ready to accept. Sometimes the people closest to you don't just leave. They rewrite the story so you were never important in it at all. After everything exploded, I thought things couldn't possibly get worse. I was wrong. For a few days, I didn't go to school. I told my parents I was sick, which wasn't entirely a lie. I felt physically sick every time I thought about Josh and Lily together. My body felt heavy, like even breathing took effort. My phone kept buzzing nonstop at first. Josh calling, Lily texting, then just Lily, then nothing. But silence didn't mean peace. It gave my mind more space to replay everything. When I finally returned to school, it felt like walking into a different world. The hallways were the same, the lockers were the same, even the smell of floor cleaner and cafeteria food was the same. But everything else had shifted. People looked at me differently. Some avoided eye contact completely, some whispered the second I passed, and some looked at me with pity. That was the worst part. I wasn't just heartbroken anymore. I had become the ex-girlfriend drama in everyone's story. And Lily, she was thriving. She walked through the halls like nothing had happened, holding Josh's hand like it was the most natural thing in the world, laughing loudly with her friends, posting pictures every other hour, acting like she had won something, like she had earned him, like I was just a chapter she had closed. I tried to ignore them, I really did. I kept my eyes on the floor, focused on my books, told myself I didn't care. But pretending gets harder when the truth is right in front of you. One afternoon, she cornered me near my locker. "I don't get why you're still mad," she said, tilting her head like I was a confused child who couldn't understand something obvious. Her voice wasn't loud. That made it worse. It was calm, almost patient. I slowly closed my locker. "You don't get why I'm mad?" she sighed. "You and Josh were barely working out anyway." I stared at her, trying to process how easily she said it. Barely working out? We were together for almost a year. She shrugged like the number didn't matter. "Yeah, and things change." Something inside me cracked, sharp and sudden. "You changed them," I said, my voice lower than I expected. Her expression didn't even shift. No guilt, no hesitation, just that same calm mask. "Or maybe you just weren't enough for him." That sentence hit harder than anything else she had done. Not because it was true, but because she said it so easily. Like it was a fact, like I was something replaceable, disposable. I felt my throat tighten, my hands went cold. "You were my best friend, and I still care about you," she said quickly, almost rehearsed, like she had practiced it in her head before coming here. "But you need to move on. You're making this weird, as if I was the problem for reacting to betrayal, as if my pain was the inconvenience, not what caused it." Before I could respond, she was already smiling softly and walking away, like the conversation had never mattered. Josh didn't even look at me most days. When he did, it was brief, uncomfortable, like I was a reminder of something he wanted to erase from his mind. I tried to talk to him once after class. I waited outside the classroom, heart pounding, hoping for even a moment of honesty. But Lily appeared within seconds. She didn't even ask what I wanted. She just grabbed his arm lightly, like a shield. "She's just upset," she said softly to him, not to me. Never to me. Ignore it. Ignore it. That became their solution for everything. Ignore her feelings. Ignore what happened. Ignore the truth until it disappears. And slowly, painfully, it started working. People stopped asking questions. Friends stopped picking sides. The story shifted from betrayal to drama. And somehow I became the difficult one, the emotional one, the one who couldn't let go. Even my closest friends began distancing themselves. "Maybe you're taking it too personally," one of them said awkwardly during lunch, not even meeting my eyes. "Maybe it just happened. Like feelings don't matter. Like loyalty doesn't matter. Like history can be erased with a shrug and a new relationship status." I remember sitting there, holding my tray, suddenly feeling like I was the only one who remembered the original version of events. Everyone else had moved on or rewritten it entirely. At night, I replayed everything in my head, searching for the moment I could have stopped it. Was it my fault for introducing them? For trusting too much? For not speaking up sooner? For not being enough like she said? That thought kept looping. Not enough. Not enough, not enough. But deep down, another thought started forming. Quiet at first, but growing louder each day. This wasn't just betrayal, it was rewriting. They weren't just together now. They were reshaping the story so that I was never the victim in it. So that I was just an obstacle. A misunderstanding. A girl who couldn't move on. And the more they repeated it, the more people believed it. That's when I realized something terrifying. They hadn't just taken my boyfriend. They were rewriting reality, and I was the only one remembering the truth. Everything changed the day I stopped reacting. Not because I was okay, but because I was tired in a way that went deeper than emotions. It wasn't sadness anymore, it was exhaustion. The kind that makes even anger feel far away. I stopped answering messages. I stopped looking at their posts. I stopped trying to explain myself, defend myself, or even understand what had happened. I just observed, quietly, like I had stepped outside my own life and was watching it happen to someone else. And when you stop reacting, people get careless. That's exactly what happened to them. At first, I noticed small things. My phone would light up with notifications, then stop. People at school would look at me a second too long, like they were remembering something they were told. But I didn't ask questions. I didn't give anyone the satisfaction of seeing me break again. I kept my head down. I walked slower between classes. I pretended I didn't notice the whispers. And then, one afternoon after school, everything shifted. I was walking past the library when I heard voices inside. Lily's voice, Josh's, and someone else, one of their mutual friends. They weren't being loud, but the building was quiet enough that every word slipped through the partially open door. I don't know why I stopped. Maybe instinct, maybe curiosity. Maybe I just needed to hear something real for once instead of guessing everything from fragments. I stood still behind the door, my hand barely touching the frame, heart already uneasy. What I heard changed everything. At first, it was just supposed to be fun, Josh said. His voice sounded lighter than I expected, almost casual. I didn't think it would turn into something serious. There was a pause, like even he didn't fully believe what he was saying. Then Lily laughed. It wasn't a nervous laugh. It was comfortable, familiar, like she had heard this version of him many times before. "You say that like you didn't enjoy it," she said. My chest tightened instantly. Not because of what they said, but because of how normal it sounded to them. Like they were talking about something harmless, something that didn't have consequences. Then the friend asked, quieter this time, "But what about her?" A silence followed, heavy enough that I could feel it through the door. Then Lily spoke again. "She'll get over it. She always acts like everything is bigger than it is." Something inside me snapped, but I stayed quiet, completely still, frozen in a place I couldn't escape without being noticed. Josh sighed. "I feel bad sometimes, but it's complicated." "It's not complicated," Lily cut in immediately. "She's just obsessed with what we used to be. That's not our problem anymore." That was it, not guilt, not regret, not even hesitation. Just dismissal, like I wasn't a person, like I was a phase in their story they had already moved past. I don't remember turning away from the door. I just remember walking, slowly at first, then faster until I was outside again, breathing air that suddenly felt too sharp in my lungs. I didn't cry, not then. I think my body didn't know how yet. That night I did something I should have done weeks ago. I checked everything, my old messages, screenshots I had saved but stopped looking at because they hurt too much, conversations I had once trusted without question. I scrolled through them with a different mindset now, not as someone searching for comfort, but as someone searching for truth. And then I saw it. The timeline I had been too heartbroken to notice. They hadn't started after we broke up. They had started while we were still together. Small things that didn't make sense at the time now formed a pattern. Deleted messages, late replies that didn't match their excuses. Times Lily had said she was too busy, but had clearly been online with him. Calls that started after midnight and ended when I was already asleep. I used to explain it all away. I wanted to believe there was always a harmless reason. But there wasn't. It wasn't betrayal that happened in one moment. It was betrayal that had been built slowly, carefully, step by step, while I was still calling her my best friend. I felt sick looking at it, but also something else. Something I didn't expect. Clarity. Because now I knew something important. I wasn't crazy. I wasn't imagining things. I wasn't too sensitive. I was just the only one who had been telling the truth to myself. The next day, I went to school with something I hadn't felt in weeks. Not happiness, not peace. Clarity. I didn't cry. I didn't confront them. I didn't yell in hallways or demand explanations that I already knew would be twisted. I just waited. Because people like them always repeat themselves eventually. They always get comfortable again. They always start talking like no one is listening. And they did. That same week, something else happened. Another girl came forward. She pulled me aside after class, glancing around first like she was afraid of being seen talking to me. "I think you should know something," she said quietly. My stomach tightened instantly. "What?" I asked. She hesitated, then continued. "Lily told people you were unstable and before all this even happened." I blinked. "Once, twice. Before, not after the breakup. Before everything." That detail mattered more than anything else, because it wasn't just damage control, it was preparation. A story already built in advance to make sure I looked like the problem no matter what happened later. For a moment, I didn't feel anger. I didn't feel sadness. I felt something colder. Understanding. Everything she had done, every rumor, every soft smile in public, every private betrayal was part of something bigger than I had realized. It wasn't random, it wasn't messy emotion. It was planned in pieces, and I had been reacting to it like it was chaos, when really it had been strategy. I looked at the girl who told me and nodded slowly. "Thanks for telling me." She looked relieved, like she had been carrying that truth alone for too long. As I walked away, something shifted inside me again. Not revenge, not forgiveness. Just the quiet certainty that the story wasn't over yet. And for the first time, I wasn't the one being written out of it. It didn't happen dramatically, no big confrontation. No movie-style breakdown where everything suddenly made sense and everyone admitted their faults in tears. It unraveled slowly, like all lies eventually do when they've been stretched too thin to hold their shape. At first, it was small things. A few people in school started noticing inconsistencies in Lily's version of events. A story she told one group didn't match what she told another. Then someone pulled out screenshots, old messages, chat logs, half-truths stitched together with excuses that didn't line up anymore. And once cracks appear, they don't stay small for long. They spread fast. It's strange how quickly people switch sides when they realize they've been standing on the wrong one. Josh was the first to break. One afternoon, I was at my locker, pretending to focus on a textbook I wasn't really reading. The hallway was loud in the way schools always are. Laughter bouncing off walls, footsteps rushing past, lockers slamming like background noise to everyone else's lives moving forward. Then I noticed him. No Lily beside him. No friends. No confident posture like before. Just Josh, standing a few feet away like he wasn't sure he had the right to be there. "I didn't know she was telling people that about you," he said quietly. His voice wasn't defensive this time, it was smaller. I closed my locker slowly and looked at him for a long moment. "You didn't know a lot of things," I said. That made him flinch like I expected it would. He looked down for a second before speaking again. "She said you were okay with it, that you didn't care." I almost laughed, but it came out more tired than amused. "Why would I be okay with my best friend and my boyfriend lying to me?" I asked. Silence, not the uncomfortable kind where someone is waiting to respond. The kind where there is no response left. For the first time, Josh didn't have something rehearsed. No explanation that tried to soften what happened. No excuse that shifted blame somewhere else. "I messed up," he said finally. Simple, direct. "Late?" I nodded slightly, like I was acknowledging something I already knew. "Yeah, you did." He looked at me then like he was searching for something in my face. Anger, maybe. Or sadness, or a doorway back into forgiveness. But I wasn't a door anymore, I was just closed. "I didn't mean for it to go this far," he added. "That's the thing," I said quietly. "It usually doesn't go this far unless you let it." He didn't argue. He couldn't. After a moment, he stepped back like he wasn't sure what else to do with himself. "I'm sorry," he said again, weaker this time. "I didn't say I forgive you. I didn't say I hate you either. I just said nothing. Because some apologies aren't bridges. They're just words hanging in the air after everything has already burned down." He left eventually, disappearing into the hallway like everyone else who passes through your life, thinking they'll stay longer than they actually do. And Lily? She didn't take it well when things started falling apart. At first, she tried to hold on to control the way she always did, by talking louder, smiling wider, insisting she was misunderstood. But school is a small place. Truth travels faster than reputation once people stop being afraid of it. Friends started distancing themselves. Conversations stopped mid-sentence when she walked in. The same whispers that once followed me in hallways started following her instead. But sharper, less forgiving. Because lies don't just disappear when exposed. They echo back at the person who told them. One day after school, she found me near the gate. I noticed her before she spoke. She always had a way of standing like she still expected the world to adjust itself around her. "Are you happy now?" she asked. Her voice wasn't calm, it was tight, controlled but barely. "You got what you wanted." I looked at her for a long moment. Not because I didn't know what to say, but because I wanted to be sure I meant it. "No," I said honestly, "I just got the truth." That was all. No accusation, no satisfaction, no dramatic ending line meant to hurt her back. Just truth. For the first time, she didn't respond immediately. No comeback, no twisting my words into something else. She just stood there like she was waiting for the world to correct itself and make her the center again. But it didn't. And maybe that was the hardest part for her. The realization that life doesn't always argue back when you're wrong. Sometimes it just moves on. I walked away, not because I was trying to win, and not because I was trying to hurt her either, but because I finally understood something that took me too long to learn. Some people don't steal your happiness. They just reveal where it was never safe to begin with. Weeks passed. Life didn't suddenly become perfect. That's not how healing works, no matter how people like to pretend it does in stories. There were still moments where memories caught me off guard. Seeing someone laugh the same way Josh used to, or hearing Lily's name in passing conversations that no longer meant anything to me. But slowly things changed. It became quieter, lighter. I started sitting with different people at lunch. People I never would have noticed before because I was too focused on the wrong ones. I started paying attention in class again. Started caring about small things that had nothing to do with betrayal or who was talking about who. I stopped measuring my worth through people who didn't deserve access to it. Sometimes, late at night, I still think about the version of me that trusted too easily. The girl who believed silence meant safety. Who thought loyalty meant ignoring red flags just to keep people close. But I don't hate her anymore, because she taught me something I'll never forget. Not everyone who smiles with you is for you. And not every loss is actually a loss. Some are just exits.